ngizobingelela ubuholo obukhona. I'm not going to isolate the people who have been told ukuthi leadership here, Youth League is here, leadership of the region is here, our representatives in the National Parliament are here, and in the KwaZulu-Natal legislature, asibashali izandla. Kodwa okusemqoka ukuthi ngibingelele the young people who are here, because this is a youth event. Roar, young lions, roar! Roar, young lions, roar! Roar, young lions, roar! Umzabalazo wethu kahle kahle umzabalazo of young people, because all the generations that fight in the struggle fight for future generations. They don't fight for themselves. That's number one. Number two, in every war, and we are in a war here in South Africa, in every war, whether it's in Ukraine or wherever, when we say the country is at war, who do we send there? Young people. Because those are the people who are the custodians of the country, and those are the people who fight for their future. Now, I've been asked lana ukuthi ngizokwenza lecture. So, makwenza lecture ke kuba quiet angithi. Asike sizame nje sizenze izifundisa noma singayazi ukuthi lecture yini. Kodwa ke this is not just a lecture, asikho university lana ngithi. This is a political lecture. That is very, very important to understand that what is a political lecture. Because today we are marking the birthday of one of the leading revolutionaries in South Africa and in Africa. But because we are revolutionaries, everything is political. Even a birthday is political, even a wedding is political, even a funeral is political, because we are political animals. So it's important to therefore recognize that this is a political lecture. Because Sikale so late, I'm going to jump some of the places kule lecture yam. But on Monday, convener, I will send you the copy of this lecture so that those who want to read it in their own time can do so. And let me start there. There's a difference between giving a political speech and a political lecture. Because in a political speech, you are allowed, sometimes to mix the facts a little bit and exaggerate them. But when it is a lecture, it is a document that will be read by future generations and criticized intellectually at a later stage. So you have to stick to the facts and stick to the truth. And one of the foremost revolutionaries in Africa, Amilcar Cabral, said, "You must tell no lies and claim no easy victories." So in a political lecture, we're going to be giving you some of the facts and dispelling some of the lies and the myths, particularly about President Zuma, whose birthday brings us here. I have been asked in this lecture to touch on 4 topics, but I will explain that I'm going to dwell more on the last 2. Firstly, I was asked to deal with President Zuma's period in exile, and then President Zuma's period in office, and then his contribution to youth issues, such as free education and youth small development, and the formation of Umkhonto weSizwe Party. That last part is a part that I hope you're going to learn some new facts because that is something I know very, very well in very intimate details. There are few people who were lucky enough to be part of that journey of the formation of Umkhonto weSizwe. It was me and a few other people for obvious reasons, because it was an underground operation. So I'm going to share some of those issues. Why was Umkhonto weSizwe formed? What is the purpose of this movement? And what are the hopes of our president in respect of that? So I'll be very short on the issue of his life in exile, because I was not in exile. But we know that one of the key important factors we should know about former President Zuma is that he spent 10 years on Robben Island, and then he spent 14 years in exile. Now think about that. Some of the people here are not even 24 years old. But here's somebody who spent 24 years either in prison or in exile. So that, the myth we are told now today is about the so-called 9 wasted years of President Zuma in office. And I will dispel, one of the myths I'm going to dispel is that. What all of us should really worry about are those 24 wasted years of former President Zuma. Imagine if those 24 years could be added to his life so that he can lead us going forward. So it is the enemy that wasted 24 years, not former President Zuma who wasted years. And that is a very important perspective that we need to carry with us as we analyze the life of this revolutionary. Now, also, we must remember that President Zuma in 1990, when people came back from exile, was only 48 years old. But already, being 48 years, he had moved within the organization, the ANC, to levels that had not been precedented by anybody. Think about some of the facts. He was a member of the National Executive Committee in exile. And when the movement came back in this country, I remember we were part of the organizing committee of the first consultative conference, which was held on South African soil in 1990. And also here in Durban, the ANC held its first conference after coming back from exile in July 1991. We were here at what is now the University of KZN on the Westville campus. Now, in that conference, just to give you a picture, there were the people who were there included Oliver Tambo, Nelson Mandela, Walter Sisulu, Chris Hani, Thabo Mbeki, Andrew Mlangeni, actually all the Rivonia trialists, Alfred Nzo, some of the most formidable leaders of this movement. But the importance of that conference for the story of President Zuma is that at that conference, he was elected among all of those people that I've mentioned and many other giants of our struggle. But President Zuma was elected to be among the top 5 leaders of the ANC, because there he was elected as the Deputy Secretary General of the ANC. Now that means at that point already, of all these people I'm mentioning, he was their leader, he was our leader, and being number 5 in the hierarchy of the ANC. You will see the importance of that later when I talk about the formation of Umkhonto weSizwe. So that alone tells you the role that he had played when he was in exile. He led the organization in Swaziland, led the organization in Mozambique during the most difficult times of the Nkombati Accord. And later he had to be moved to headquarters in Lusaka. The second topic that I was asked to talk about is about his time in office. And I want to deal with this in a little bit more detail. Now, the first 5 years of that term, of his 2 terms, was of course, it ended in 2014, from 2009. We all know the story of Polokwane. And after Polokwane, there was a period in 2008 where there had to be an interim president, Motlanthe. But after the election in 2009, Msholozi got into office. Now, the first 5 years of that term saw many serious changes in our country. And what then happened is that President Zuma was uprooted from office. But before that happened, because that's also relevant to the formation of Umkhonto weSizwe, and I hope the young people who are here in particular